In this story, we dive into the life of Jack, a man whose world is turned upside down by the unexpected betrayal of his girlfriend, Emma. Set in the small, picturesque town of Brooksville, Jack's journey begins with a seemingly perfect afternoon spent preparing for a spring festival. However, a shocking revelation from Emma sets off a chain of events that forces Jack to confront his deepest fears and insecurities. Join us as we explore Jack's path from heartbreak to healing, discovering the resilience and strength that lies within us all. Get ready for an emotional roller coaster filled with raw honesty, personal growth, and the power of new beginnings. Jack reclined on his well-worn couch, the soft spring sunlight filtering through the windows of his cozy home in Brooksville. His girlfriend, Emma, sat beside him, her head resting on his shoulder. The scent of blooming flowers wafted in through the open window, mingling with the aroma of buttered popcorn and the occasional clink of beer bottles. It was a beautiful Wednesday afternoon in May 2019, and they were enjoying a casual gathering with friends to prepare for the upcoming spring festival in their small town. The living room hummed with laughter and conversation as Jack's friends bustled around, making decorations and planning activities for the festival. There was a sense of camaraderie and excitement in the air, the kind that only comes with shared efforts towards a common goal. Jack felt a sense of contentment as he watched his friends work together, their faces lit with smiles and their spirits high. Emma, ever the social butterfly, was at the center of it all. She flitted between groups, offering suggestions and encouragement, her laughter ringing out like a melody. Jack couldn't help but feel a swell of pride as he watched her. She was beautiful, confident, and full of life. In moments like these, it was easy to forget the small signs of trouble that had been creeping into their relationship. As the afternoon wore on, the preparations were nearly complete. Banners and streamers were draped across the walls, and a table in the corner was piled high with handmade crafts and baked goods. The room was a riot of color and creativity, a testament to the hard work and dedication of Jack and his friends. Jack stood up and stretched, feeling the pleasant ache of a day well spent. "Great job, everyone," he said, his voice carrying over the din. "This festival is going to be amazing thanks to all of you." There were cheers and applause, and Jack felt a warm glow of satisfaction. He glanced over at Emma, who was standing near the kitchen doorway, her silhouette framed by the soft light from the hallway. She was looking at him with an unreadable expression, and for a moment, he felt a flicker of unease. Before he could dwell on it, Emma stepped forward, her eyes scanning the room. The chatter died down as she cleared her throat, drawing everyone's attention. "I have an idea," she said, her voice casual. "How about we make this festival even more memorable with a little extra excitement?" There was a murmur of curiosity, and Jack raised an eyebrow. "What do you have in mind, Emma?" Emma smiled, a strange glint in her eyes. "How about a gangbang?" The room fell silent, the air thick with shock. Jack's heart skipped a beat as he processed her words. He glanced around at his friends, seeing the bewilderment and disbelief mirrored on their faces. The jovial atmosphere evaporated, replaced by a tense, uncomfortable silence. Jack felt a rush of emotions: confusion, anger, betrayal. He looked at Emma, searching for some sign that she was joking, but her expression was serious. "Emma, what are you talking about?" he asked, his voice tight. Emma shrugged, her smile never faltering. "I just thought it would be fun, something different. We're all adults here, right?" Jack's mind raced. He thought back to the subtle signs he had noticed over the past few months. Emma's increasing distance, the late nights out, the texts she quickly swiped away when he glanced over. It all made a cruel kind of sense now. She had been drifting away from him, and this was her way of severing the last thread of their relationship. Jack took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. He felt the eyes of his friends on him, waiting for his reaction. "Emma," he said slowly, "I think we need to talk." Emma's smile faded, replaced by a look of irritation. "What's there to talk about, Jack? It's just a suggestion. If you're not interested, we can drop it." But Jack knew it wasn't that simple. Her casual proposal had opened a rift between them, one that couldn't be ignored. He turned to his friends, who were shifting uncomfortably, unsure of what to do or say. "Guys, can you give us a minute?" he asked. There were murmurs of agreement, and his friends began to file out of the room, casting curious and concerned glances back at them. Once they were alone, Jack turned to Emma, his expression a mixture of hurt and confusion. "Emma, why would you suggest something like that?" Emma crossed her arms, her demeanor defensive. "I just thought it would be fun, Jack. You used to be more open-minded." Jack shook his head. "This isn't about being open-minded, Emma. This is about respect and trust. Did you really think I would be okay with this?" Emma's eyes flashed with anger. "You never seem to be okay with anything I suggest anymore. Maybe this relationship isn't what I thought it was." Jack felt a pang of sorrow. He had loved Emma deeply, but it was clear that their paths had diverged. "Maybe you're right," he said quietly. "Maybe we've grown too far apart." Emma's expression softened slightly, but the tension between them remained palpable. "So, what now?" she asked. Jack sighed, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down on him. "I think it's best if we go our separate ways. This isn't working anymore." Emma looked at him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Maybe that's for the best." They stood in silence for a few moments, the reality of the situation sinking in. Jack felt a sense of finality, but also a strange relief. It was over. The relationship that had once brought him so much joy had reached its end. "I'll pack my things," Emma said quietly. Jack nodded. "Take your time. I'll go for a walk." As Jack stepped outside, the fresh spring air filled his lungs, bringing a sense of clarity. He walked down the quiet streets of Brooksville, his mind a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. The town was alive with the sights and sounds of spring, a stark contrast to the turmoil inside him. As he walked, Jack reflected on the events that had led to this moment. He thought about the good times he had shared with Emma, but also the signs he had ignored, the growing distance between them. He realized that their relationship had been unraveling for a long time, and Emma's proposal had been the final straw. By the time Jack returned home, the sun was beginning to set, casting a golden glow over the town. He felt a sense of peace, knowing that he had made the right decision. It wouldn't be easy, but he was ready to move on and start a new chapter in his life. Inside the house, Emma was finishing packing her things. They exchanged a few words, but the conversation was brief and filled with unspoken regret. As Emma left, Jack watched her go, feeling a mixture of sadness and relief. He closed the door behind her, taking a deep breath. The house felt empty and quiet, but Jack knew that this was the beginning of a new journey. He had faced the end of one chapter and was ready to embrace the possibilities of the next. With a sense of resolve, Jack began to clean up the remnants of the day's events. He gathered the decorations and put away the crafts, his mind focused on the future. As he worked, he felt a growing sense of optimism. The spring festival was still ahead, and he was determined to make it a success, even without Emma by his side. As the night drew in, Jack sat down at his desk, opening his laptop. He had always found solace in writing, and tonight was no different. He began to type, pouring his thoughts and emotions into words. It was a cathartic process, helping him to process the events of the day and look forward to the future. Jack knew that the road ahead would be challenging, but he was ready to face it with courage and determination. He had learned valuable lessons about trust, respect, and the importance of listening to his own needs and boundaries. With each word he typed, he felt a sense of healing and empowerment. Jack woke up the next morning with a heavy heart. The events of the previous day played on a loop in his mind, the shock and pain still fresh. He stared at the ceiling, the early morning light casting soft shadows around the room. The reality of Emma's betrayal and the end of their relationship weighed heavily on him. He slowly got out of bed, the silence of the house amplifying his thoughts. He went through his morning routine mechanically, brushing his teeth, making coffee, and getting dressed. Every action felt surreal, like he was moving through a fog. The vibrant colors and sounds of the spring day outside felt like a stark contrast to the emptiness he felt inside. Jack knew he had to face Emma. She had spent the night in the guest room, and now it was time for them to have a final conversation. He took a deep breath and walked down the hallway, his footsteps echoing in the stillness. He knocked gently on the guest room door. "Emma, can we talk?" There was a moment of silence before Emma opened the door. She looked tired, her eyes puffy from crying. She nodded silently and followed Jack into the living room. They sat down on the couch, the tension between them palpable. "Emma," Jack began, his voice steady but filled with emotion, "we need to talk about what happened yesterday." Emma looked down at her hands, her fingers twisting nervously. "I know, Jack. I'm sorry. I don't know what I was thinking." Jack shook his head. "It's not just about what you said yesterday. It's about everything. The distance, the late nights, the secrets. I can't do this anymore." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "I never meant to hurt you, Jack. I felt like we were drifting apart, and I didn't know how to fix it." Jack's heart ached as he listened to her. He had loved Emma deeply, but the trust between them had been shattered. "I understand, but what you did, it crossed a line. We can't go back to the way things were." Emma nodded, her tears falling silently. "I know. I just wish things could have been different." Jack took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. "It's time for us to move on. You need to pack your things and leave. We both need a fresh start." Emma looked at him, her expression a mixture of sadness and resignation. "Okay, Jack, I'll pack my things." They sat in silence for a few moments, the weight of the situation pressing down on them. Finally, Emma stood up and went to the guest room to pack her belongings. Jack watched her go, his heart heavy with sorrow. As Emma packed, Jack wandered through the house, his mind a whirlwind of emotions. He felt a profound sense of loss, but also a strange relief. The uncertainty and tension that had plagued their relationship were finally over. He could begin to heal, even if it meant starting over alone. Emma finished packing and returned to the living room, her suitcase in hand. She looked at Jack, her eyes filled with regret. "I'm sorry, Jack. I hope you can find happiness." Jack nodded, his voice soft. "I hope you can too, Emma. Take care of yourself." With a final, tearful glance, Emma walked out the door. Jack watched her leave, feeling a mix of emotions, sadness, relief, and a glimmer of hope for the future. He closed the door behind her, the sound echoing through the empty house. The next few days were a blur for Jack. The house felt eerily quiet without Emma's presence. He wandered through the empty rooms, each one a reminder of the life they had shared. The silence was deafening, amplifying his thoughts and emotions. Jack tried to return to some semblance of normalcy. He went to work, met with friends, and kept himself busy with tasks around the house. But no matter what he did, the sense of loss and emptiness lingered. He found himself replaying the events of the past few months, searching for clues and signs he might have missed. One evening, as he sat alone in the living room, Jack picked up his phone and scrolled through old photos of him and Emma. Their smiles and happy moments now felt like distant memories, overshadowed by the betrayal and pain. He felt a pang of sorrow, but also a determination to move forward. Jack knew he needed to make some changes in his life. He decided to start by clearing out the reminders of his relationship with Emma. He gathered up their photos, her belongings, and anything that held painful memories. It was a difficult process, but it felt necessary. With each item he packed away, he felt a small sense of closure. He also reached out to his friends, who had been supportive but uncertain of how to help. They offered words of comfort and encouragement, reminding Jack that he was not alone. He appreciated their support, even if he didn't always know how to accept it. As the days turned into weeks, Jack began to find a new rhythm. He spent more time outdoors, enjoying the beauty of the spring season. He took up new hobbies, like hiking and photography, finding solace in the natural world. He also started writing again, using his words to process his emotions and tell his story. One afternoon, Jack decided to visit a local coffee shop, a place he had often gone to with Emma. It was a familiar setting, but now it felt different. He ordered a coffee and sat by the window, watching the world go by. As he sipped his drink, he reflected on how much his life had changed. While he was lost in thought, Jack noticed a familiar face entering the coffee shop. It was Ben, his old friend who had reached out to him after hearing about the breakup. Ben spotted Jack and waved, making his way over to the table. "Hey, Jack," Ben said, sitting down across from him. How are you holding up? Jack managed a small smile. I'm doing okay, Ben. Thanks for checking in. Ben nodded, his expression sympathetic. I heard about what happened with Emma. I'm really sorry, man. Jack sighed, feeling the weight of the past few weeks. Yeah, it's been tough. But I'm trying to move forward. Ben looked thoughtful. You know, sometimes the hardest things we go through can lead to the most important changes in our lives. It's all about finding the strength to keep going. Jack appreciated Ben's words. He knew that his friend was right. This painful experience was an opportunity for growth and self-discovery. Thanks, Ben. I needed to hear that. They chatted for a while longer, catching up on each other's lives. Ben shared stories from his own experiences, offering insights and advice. Jack felt grateful for the connection and support. It reminded him that he was not alone in his journey. As the conversation wound down, Ben gave Jack a reassuring pat on the back. Take care of yourself, Jack. And remember, if you ever need anything, I'm here for you. Jack nodded, feeling a renewed sense of hope. Thanks, Ben. I appreciate it. After Ben left, Jack stayed at the coffee shop for a while longer, thinking about their conversation. He realized that he had the power to shape his own future, to find happiness and fulfillment on his own terms. It wouldn't be easy, but he was ready to take the next steps. Jack finished his coffee and walked out into the warm spring afternoon. The sun was shining, and the world seemed full of possibilities. He felt a sense of clarity and purpose, knowing that he was on the path to healing and growth. As he walked through the streets of Brooksville, Jack looked around at the familiar sights and sounds of his hometown. He felt a connection to this place, to the people and the memories that had shaped his life. And he knew that, no matter what the future held, he had the strength to face it. The breakup with Emma had been painful, but it had also been a catalyst for change. Jack was determined to build a new life for himself, one filled with love, joy, and meaning. He had learned valuable lessons about trust, respect, and the importance of listening to his own needs and boundaries. And with each step he took, he felt a growing sense of hope and possibility. A few weeks had passed since Emma left, and Jack was slowly adapting to his new reality. The emptiness of his house was slowly being filled with new routines and hobbies. He spent more time outdoors, immersing himself in nature, and had taken up writing again, which provided a much-needed outlet for his emotions. One afternoon, as Jack was sitting at his favorite spot by the window, penning down his thoughts in a journal, his phone buzzed with a message. It was from Ben, his old friend who had reconnected with him after the breakup. The message was brief but urgent. Jack, we need to talk. There's something important I need to tell you about Emma. Jack felt a jolt of anxiety and curiosity. He quickly replied, agreeing to meet Ben at the local coffee shop they both frequented. As he made his way there, his mind raced with possibilities. What more could there be to know about Emma's betrayal? Wasn't the breakup painful enough already? When Jack arrived at the coffee shop, Ben was already there, waiting at a corner table with a serious expression. Jack sat down, his heart pounding. Hey, Ben, what's this about? Ben took a deep breath, his eyes filled with concern. Jack, I didn't know how to tell you this earlier, but I think you deserve to know the truth. Emma was seeing other guys while you two were together. And not just randoms, people we both know. Jack's stomach churned as he processed Ben's words. The room seemed to close in on him. What do you mean, Ben? Who was she seeing? Ben hesitated, clearly uncomfortable with the conversation. It wasn't just one person, Jack. There were several. Some of them were acquaintances from our circle. I heard things from mutual friends and saw things myself that didn't add up at the time, but now it all makes sense. Jack felt a cold wave of anger and disbelief wash over him. Why didn't anyone tell me? Why didn't you tell me, Ben? Ben's face was etched with guilt. We were all afraid of hurting you, Jack. We didn't know how to bring it up without making things worse. And honestly, some of us were scared of Emma's reaction. She can be pretty intimidating. Jack clenched his fists, trying to control the surge of emotions. I can't believe this. I knew things were bad, but I never imagined she was capable of this. Ben reached out, placing a hand on Jack's shoulder. I'm sorry, Jack. I really am. You deserve better, and you deserve to know the truth. I just hope this helps you find some closure. Jack nodded, feeling a mix of gratitude and frustration. Thanks, Ben. I appreciate you telling me, even if it's hard to hear. I guess I needed to know. They sat in silence for a few moments, the weight of the conversation hanging in the air. Jack's mind raced with memories, piecing together the signs he had missed. He felt a deep sense of betrayal but also a growing resolve to move forward. I need to confront this, Jack said finally. I need to face the truth and find a way to heal from this. It's the only way I can move on. Ben nodded, his expression supportive. I'm here for you, Jack. Whatever you need, just let me know. Jack appreciated Ben's offer, but he knew this was a journey he had to undertake largely on his own. The conversation with Ben had opened his eyes to the full extent of Emma's betrayal, and he realized that moving forward would require facing the pain head-on. As Jack walked home from the coffee shop, he felt a mix of emotions, anger, sorrow, and a flicker of hope. The truth had been painful to hear, but it was also liberating. He no longer had to wonder or doubt, he knew what had happened, and he could begin to process it. Over the next few days, Jack immersed himself in his writing. He poured his thoughts and emotions into words, using the creative process as a way to confront his feelings. He wrote about betrayal, heartbreak, and the journey to self-discovery. The act of writing helped him make sense of his experiences and find a path to healing. Jack also took steps to distance himself from the people and places that reminded him of Emma. He stopped frequenting the coffee shop they used to visit together and avoided mutual friends who were closely connected to her. It was a difficult decision, but he knew it was necessary for his well-being. One evening, as Jack was sitting in his living room, he received a call from Ben. Hey, Jack, there's a support group meeting tomorrow evening for people dealing with betrayal and heartbreak. I thought it might be helpful for you. Jack considered the idea. He had never been one for group therapy, but he was willing to try anything that might help him heal. Thanks, Ben. I think I'll give it a try. The next evening, Jack found himself in a small community center, sitting in a circle of chairs with a group of strangers. The facilitator, a warm and empathetic woman named Linda, introduced herself and invited everyone to share their stories. As Jack listened to others talk about their experiences with betrayal, he felt a sense of connection and understanding. These people had faced similar pain and were finding ways to cope and heal. When it was his turn to speak, Jack hesitated for a moment before opening up about his relationship with Emma and the recent revelations. Talking about his experiences in the supportive environment of the group was cathartic. Jack felt a weight lift off his shoulders as he shared his story, and he was met with empathy and encouragement from the other members. By the end of the meeting, he felt a renewed sense of hope. In the weeks that followed, Jack continued to attend the support group meetings. He formed bonds with some of the members, finding comfort in their shared experiences. The group became a source of strength and inspiration, helping him navigate the difficult process of healing. Jack also made a conscious effort to focus on his own well-being. He started exercising regularly, eating healthier, and practicing mindfulness and meditation. These practices helped him manage his stress and anxiety, providing a sense of balance and clarity. One afternoon, Jack received a call from Sarah, the aspiring author he had met at the bookstore. They had exchanged contact information and had kept in touch sporadically. Sarah had been a source of encouragement and support, and Jack appreciated their budding friendship. Hey, Jack, Sarah said warmly. I was wondering if you'd like to meet up for coffee and catch up. I've been working on a new project, and I'd love to get your thoughts on it. Jack smiled, feeling a sense of anticipation. I'd love to, Sarah. How about we meet at the new cafe downtown? They agreed on a time, and Jack felt a sense of excitement as he prepared for the meeting. His friendship with Sarah had been a bright spot in his life, and he looked forward to their conversations. At the cafe, Jack and Sarah found a quiet corner and ordered their drinks. Sarah shared her latest writing project, and Jack was impressed by her creativity and passion. As they talked, he felt a sense of connection and mutual respect. You know, Jack, Sarah said thoughtfully, I think you're really strong. What you've been through with Emma. It's not easy, but you're handling it with such grace. Jack felt a warmth in his chest. Thanks, Sarah. It's been tough, but I'm trying to focus on the positives and keep moving forward. Sarah nodded, her eyes filled with understanding. That's the best thing you can do. And remember, you have people who care about you and support you. You're not alone in this. Jack appreciated Sarah's words. He knew that his journey to healing was far from over, but he felt a sense of hope and possibility. With the support of his friends, the therapy group, and his own determination, he was finding his way through the darkness. As Jack walked home from the cafe, he felt a sense of peace. The truth about Emma's betrayal had been painful, but it had also been a catalyst for growth and self-discovery. He was learning to trust himself again and to build a life that was true to his values and desires. Jack knew that the road ahead would have its challenges, but he was ready to face them with courage and resilience. He had found his voice through writing, his strength through self-care, and his support through meaningful connections. The journey was far from over, but Jack was confident that he was on the right path. Jack's journey to recovery began with small, deliberate steps. After the painful revelations about Emma's betrayal and the initial shock subsided, he knew he had to take control of his life and steer it towards a positive direction. The house, once a shared space filled with memories of their relationship, now felt empty and cold. Jack decided it was time to reclaim it as his own. He started with a deep clean, removing any remnants of Emma's presence. Her belongings were packed away, and he donated or discarded items that held painful memories. With each sweep of the broom and each item boxed up, Jack felt a small weight lift off his shoulders. He rearranged the furniture, giving the rooms a fresh look and feel. It was a cathartic process, one that symbolized the start of a new chapter. Jack's mornings became structured and purposeful. He established a routine that included healthy habits like jogging in the park, preparing nutritious meals, and dedicating time to meditation and mindfulness. These activities helped him find a sense of balance and peace. The physical exercise not only improved his mood but also provided a release for his pent-up emotions. One of the most significant changes Jack made was immersing himself in his writing. He had always enjoyed writing but had neglected it during his tumultuous relationship with Emma. Now, he found solace and expression in putting pen to paper. His journal became a confidant, a place where he could pour out his thoughts and feelings without judgment. He also started working on short stories, drawing inspiration from his own experiences and the emotions he had grappled with. Sarah, the aspiring author he had met at the bookstore, played a pivotal role in his recovery. Their friendship blossomed, rooted in a shared love for literature and writing. Sarah's encouragement and support were invaluable to Jack. She had a way of seeing the beauty in his words and the strength in his vulnerability. One sunny afternoon, Sarah invited Jack to join her at a local writers' group. The group met weekly in a cozy cafe, and it was a place where writers of all levels could share their work and receive constructive feedback. Jack was hesitant at first, worried that his raw emotions might not be well received. But Sarah assured him that the group was welcoming and supportive. "Trust me, Jack," she said with a warm smile. "You'll find that sharing your work can be incredibly healing. And who knows, you might even inspire others with your story." With a mixture of nerves and excitement, Jack agreed to attend. The first meeting was a revelation. The group consisted of a diverse mix of people, each with their own unique voice and style. As Jack listened to others read their pieces, he felt a sense of connection and camaraderie. When it was his turn to share, his hands trembled slightly, but Sarah's encouraging nod gave him the confidence to begin. He read a piece he had written about the end of his relationship with Emma, focusing on the themes of betrayal and recovery. The room was silent as he spoke, and when he finished, there was a moment of stillness before the applause began. The feedback was overwhelmingly positive, with many members praising his honesty and emotional depth. After the meeting, several members approached Jack to thank him for sharing his story. One woman, a middle-aged writer named Linda, told him that his words had resonated deeply with her own experiences of heartbreak. "Your story reminded me that it's okay to feel pain, but it's also possible to find strength and move forward," she said, her eyes misty with emotion. Jack left the cafe that evening feeling a sense of accomplishment and connection. He realized that sharing his experiences not only helped him heal but also offered support and inspiration to others. The writers' group became a regular part of his life, a place where he could explore his creativity and connect with like-minded individuals. As the weeks turned into months, Jack's friendship with Sarah deepened. They spent countless hours discussing literature, sharing their work, and encouraging each other's growth. Sarah's positive energy and passion for writing were infectious, and Jack found himself looking forward to their meetings. She had a way of challenging him to push his boundaries and explore new ideas. One day, while they were sitting in their favorite cafe, Sarah suggested they collaborate on a project. "I've been thinking," she said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "What if we co-write a collection of short stories? We could each contribute pieces based on our experiences and themes of resilience and recovery." Jack was intrigued by the idea. Collaborating with Sarah felt natural, and he was excited about the prospect of creating something meaningful together. "I love that idea, Sarah. Let's do it." They began working on the project, brainstorming ideas and outlining their stories. The process was invigorating, and Jack felt a renewed sense of purpose. Writing with Sarah not only fueled his creativity but also reinforced his belief in the power of storytelling as a tool for healing. As they worked on the collection, Jack's personal life continued to improve. He made new friends through the writers' group and reconnected with old ones who had supported him through the breakup. His days were filled with meaningful activities, and he felt a sense of fulfillment that had been missing for so long. Jack's relationship with his family also strengthened. He spent more time visiting his parents and siblings, appreciating their unwavering support. They had been a pillar of strength during his darkest days, and now he wanted to give back by being present and involved in their lives. One evening, as Jack was sitting on his porch, enjoying the warm summer breeze, he reflected on how far he had come. The pain of Emma's betrayal had been a catalyst for profound change, leading him to rediscover his passions and rebuild his life. He felt a deep sense of gratitude for the people who had stood by him and the new opportunities that had come his way. Sarah joined him on the porch, carrying 2 glasses of iced tea. She handed one to Jack and sat down beside him. "You know, Jack, I've been thinking about how much we've accomplished together. It's amazing to see how our stories have evolved and how much we've grown as writers." Jack smiled, taking a sip of his tea. "I couldn't have done it without you, Sarah. Your support and friendship mean the world to me." Sarah reached out and squeezed his hand. "And you've been a great friend to me too, Jack. I'm so grateful we met." As the sun set, casting a golden glow over the landscape, Jack felt a sense of peace and contentment. The journey of recovery had been challenging, but it had also been transformative. He had found strength in vulnerability, hope in despair, and new beginnings in the ashes of the past. Jack knew that life would continue to have its ups and downs, but he felt equipped to handle whatever came his way. With a heart full of gratitude and a spirit renewed by creativity and connection, he was ready to embrace the future. The pain of the past had given way to a new sense of purpose, and Jack was determined to live his life with courage, authenticity, and joy. As he looked out at the horizon, he knew that this was just the beginning of a beautiful journey. With Sarah by his side and a newfound sense of self, Jack was ready to write the next chapter of his life, one filled with love, creativity, and endless possibilities. It had been several months since Emma had left, and Jack was well on his way to healing and rebuilding his life. His routine was steady, his friendships were stronger than ever, and his writing was flourishing. He felt a sense of stability and peace that had been absent for so long. It was in this newfound equilibrium that a text message from Emma arrived, shaking the foundations of his serenity. "Jack, can we meet? There's something important I need to discuss with you." Jack stared at the message, his emotions a mix of surprise, curiosity, and a twinge of apprehension. What could Emma possibly want to discuss after all this time? Despite the unease, he felt a strange sense of closure might come from this meeting. He took a deep breath and replied, agreeing to meet her at a neutral location, a cafe they used to frequent. The next day, Jack arrived early at the cafe. The familiar ambiance brought back a flood of memories, both good and bad. He found a quiet corner and ordered a coffee, trying to calm his nerves. When Emma walked in, Jack noticed she looked different. There was a certain tension in her posture and a hesitancy in her step. She approached the table and gave a faint smile. "Hi, Jack. Thanks for agreeing to meet," she said, sitting down across from him. "Hi, Emma," Jack replied, his voice measured. "What did you want to talk about?" Emma took a deep breath, her eyes dropping to her hands. "I know it's been a while, and I don't expect you to forgive me, but there's something I need to ask you. It's a bit unusual." Jack raised an eyebrow, feeling a mix of curiosity and caution. "Go on." Emma looked up, her eyes meeting his. "I want you to father my child." Jack blinked, stunned into silence. He searched her face for any sign that this might be a joke, but found none. "Why would you ask that, Emma? After everything that happened between us?" Emma sighed, her voice trembling slightly. "Because despite everything, I still think you're a good man, Jack. You're intelligent, kind, and I believe you would make a wonderful father. I don't expect anything from you, no involvement if you don't want to. I want my child to have the best qualities, and I believe you have them." Jack shook his head, trying to process her request. "Emma, I don't even know what to say. Do you realize how crazy this sounds?" Emma nodded, her eyes pleading. "I know it's a lot to ask. But I've thought about it a lot, and I really believe it's the right thing." Jack felt a surge of emotions, anger, confusion, and a deep sense of betrayal all over again. "Emma, I can't do this. I can't just father a child and walk away. And honestly, I don't think you really know what you're asking." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "I know it's a lot, Jack. But I've been thinking about my future, and I want to have a child. I thought you might understand." Jack took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. "Emma, I think you need to find someone else for this. Someone who can be fully involved, not just a genetic donor. And honestly, I don't think I can be that person for you." Emma's face fell, her tears spilling over. "I understand. I'm sorry for even asking." Jack felt a pang of sympathy but also a firm resolve. "Emma, I hope you find what you're looking for, but it can't be with me. I've moved on, and I think it's time for both of us to truly let go." They sat in silence for a few moments, the weight of the conversation settling between them. Finally, Emma nodded, wiping her tears. "You're right, Jack. I'm sorry for bringing this up. I hope you can forgive me someday." Jack gave a small, sad smile. "I've already forgiven you, Emma. But it's time for both of us to move forward." Emma stood up, giving him one last, lingering look. "Goodbye, Jack. Take care." "Goodbye, Emma," Jack replied, watching as she walked out of the cafe and out of his life. As Jack sat there, he felt a sense of finality wash over him. The chapter with Emma was truly closed now, and he felt a deep sense of relief. The strange request and the final conversation had helped him see how much he had grown and changed. He was no longer the man who had been shattered by betrayal. He was stronger, wiser, and ready to embrace the future with open arms. Jack finished his coffee and left the cafe, feeling a sense of liberation. The sun was shining brightly, and the world seemed full of possibilities. He knew that the road ahead would have its challenges, but he felt equipped to face them with courage and resilience. With each step he took, Jack felt a renewed sense of purpose. He had found his voice through writing, his strength through self-care, and his support through meaningful connections. The journey of recovery had led him to a place of peace and hope. Jack returned home and sat down at his desk, opening his laptop. He began to write, not just as a way to process his emotions, but as a way to celebrate his journey and the new beginnings that awaited him. The final meeting with Emma had been a turning point, and he was ready to embrace the future with a heart full of hope and a spirit renewed by resilience. The pain of the past had given way to a new sense of purpose, and Jack was determined to live his life with courage, authenticity, and joy. He knew that life would continue to have its ups and downs, but he was ready to face them with a newfound strength. As Jack typed the final words of his story, he felt a deep sense of satisfaction. The journey had been long and arduous, but it had led him to a place of healing and hope. He was ready to write the next chapter of his life, one filled with love, creativity, and endless possibilities. The final meeting with Emma had marked the end of a tumultuous chapter in Jack's life. With the closure that came from their last conversation, Jack felt a renewed sense of purpose and determination. He was ready to move forward and embrace the opportunities that lay ahead. The road to recovery had been long and challenging, but it had also been transformative. Jack immersed himself in his writing, finding solace and inspiration in the creative process. His journal entries became more reflective and hopeful, capturing the essence of his journey from heartbreak to healing. He poured his emotions into his stories, drawing from the depths of his experiences to create characters and narratives that resonated with authenticity and vulnerability. One evening, as Jack was sitting at his desk, he received an email from a literary agent who had read one of his short stories in a local literary magazine. The agent was impressed with his writing and expressed interest in representing him. Jack's heart raced with excitement as he read the email. It felt like a validation of all the hard work and dedication he had poured into his craft. Jack replied to the agent, setting up a meeting to discuss the possibility of publishing a collection of his short stories. The prospect of sharing his work with a wider audience was both exhilarating and nerve-wracking. He knew that his stories were deeply personal, but he also believed that they could offer comfort and hope to others who had experienced similar struggles. The meeting with the literary agent, Melissa, went exceptionally well. She was enthusiastic about Jack's writing and saw great potential in his work. They discussed the themes of his stories, focusing on resilience, recovery, and the transformative power of self-discovery. Melissa suggested compiling his stories into a book, a collection that would weave together his journey through heartbreak and healing. Jack felt a surge of excitement and agreed to the project. Over the next few months, he worked tirelessly to refine his stories, weaving them into a cohesive narrative that captured the essence of his experiences. He spent countless hours at his desk, writing and revising, fueled by a sense of purpose and passion. During this time, Jack continued to attend the writers' group meetings, where he found invaluable support and feedback. His friendship with Sarah deepened, and she became an integral part of his creative journey. They spent hours discussing their projects, offering each other encouragement and constructive criticism. Sarah's insights and enthusiasm were a constant source of inspiration for Jack. As the book began to take shape, Jack found himself reflecting on his journey. He realized how much he had grown and changed since the breakup with Emma. The pain and betrayal had been transformative, pushing him to rediscover his passions and rebuild his life with intention and authenticity. The day finally came when Jack held the first printed copy of his book in his hands. The cover was simple yet elegant, with the title, From Ashes to Hope, a journey of healing and self-discovery. Jack felt a profound sense of accomplishment and pride. This book was a testament to his resilience and the power of storytelling to heal and inspire. Melissa arranged a book launch event at a local bookstore, and Jack invited his friends, family, and members of the writers' group. The event was filled with excitement and anticipation. As Jack stood before the audience, he felt a mixture of nerves and gratitude. He thanked everyone for their support and shared a few excerpts from his book, his voice steady and confident. The response was overwhelmingly positive. People approached him after the reading, sharing their own stories of heartbreak and healing. They thanked him for his honesty and vulnerability, expressing how much his words had resonated with them. Jack felt a deep sense of connection and fulfillment. He had not only found his voice but had also touched the lives of others. In the weeks that followed, Jack's book received glowing reviews and began to gain traction. He was invited to speak at various events and workshops, sharing his journey and the lessons he had learned. The more he shared, the more he realized the impact of his story. It wasn't just about his personal healing, it was about offering hope and inspiration to others. Jack's life began to fill with new experiences and opportunities. He met new people who shared his passion for writing and personal growth. These connections enriched his life and opened doors to collaborations and projects he had never imagined. He felt a sense of excitement and possibility, knowing that his journey was far from over. Through it all, Jack remained grounded in the lessons he had learned. He continued to prioritize self-care, mindfulness, and meaningful connections. His writing remained a central part of his life, a constant source of joy and fulfillment. He found that the more he gave of himself through his stories, the more he received in return. Jack's relationship with Sarah blossomed into something deeper and more profound. Their shared experiences and mutual support had laid a strong foundation for a meaningful connection. They began to explore their feelings for each other, navigating the transition from friends to something more with care and honesty. Sarah's presence in Jack's life was a source of strength and joy, and he cherished the bond they had built. As the seasons changed, Jack continued to embrace the future with a heart full of hope and a spirit renewed by resilience. He knew that life would always have its challenges, but he felt equipped to face them with courage and authenticity. The journey of recovery had transformed him, and he was ready to live his life to the fullest. One crisp autumn morning, Jack received an invitation to speak at a national writers' conference. The opportunity to share his story and connect with other writers on a larger scale was a dream come true. As he prepared for his keynote speech, Jack reflected on the incredible journey he had undertaken. Standing before a large audience at the conference, Jack felt a sense of gratitude and purpose. He began his speech by sharing the pivotal moments of his journey, from the heartbreak and betrayal to the healing and self-discovery. He spoke about the power of storytelling to heal and connect, and the importance of embracing one's truth with courage and vulnerability. The audience was captivated, and Jack received a standing ovation at the end of his speech. He felt a profound sense of fulfillment, knowing that his story had resonated with so many people. The conference was a milestone in his journey, a testament to the transformative power of resilience and creativity. As Jack returned home, he felt a deep sense of peace and contentment. He had embraced the future with open arms, and the possibilities ahead seemed endless. With Sarah by his side and a community of supportive friends and fellow writers, Jack knew that he was not alone in his journey. He sat down at his desk, opened his laptop, and began to write. The blank page before him was no longer a source of fear or uncertainty, but a canvas for his dreams and aspirations. Jack's heart was full of hope, and his spirit was alive with the promise of new beginnings. The journey of healing and self-discovery had led Jack to a place of profound transformation. He had found his voice, his strength, and his purpose. As he wrote the next chapter of his life, he did so with courage, authenticity, and an unwavering belief in the power of hope and resilience. The future was bright, and Jack was ready to embrace it with a heart full of gratitude and a spirit renewed by the journey he had undertaken. With each word he wrote, he felt a sense of fulfillment and joy, knowing that his story had the power to inspire and uplift others. Jack had found his way through the darkness, and now he was ready to shine. As we conclude this heartfelt story, we see Jack emerge from the shadows of betrayal into the light of new possibilities. His journey from heartbreak to healing is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Through the support of friends, the power of creativity, and the courage to face his pain, Jack transforms his life and finds a renewed sense of purpose. His story reminds us that even in our darkest moments, there is hope and the potential for new beginnings. Thank you for joining us on this emotional journey, and we hope Jack's story has inspired you to find strength and hope in your own life.